Are there any stipulations regarding the time of day that Mass is to be offered? So we were asked if Sunday Masses must always be in the morning, or is it permissible to have them in the afternoon?
Well, traditionally, the Mass, the offering of the Mass had to do with the rising of the sun. Even the vigils they would pray through the night, but at sunrise, they would have the altar facing the rising sun, which was symbolic of the resurrection of our Lord. And they would offer the Mass there ad orientem, as the expression is, facing the east and the rising of the sun. And so the Mass would be offered in the mornings because of the rising of the sun all during the morning hours. It became the practice that Mass could be offered then all the way up until noon, even until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Remember, they didn't really they went by silver time and sundials early on, okay? Didn't have watches and clocks and so on. So they had to, as much as they could, approximate these things. But the Mass could be offered through the morning hours up to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But then, not after that, because the setting of the sun was also symbolic of something. And so the Masses were offered in the morning. Now, I think it was Pope Pius XII gave permission that come 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Masses could be offered in the evening. Again, the idea that the sun was fairly well set by that time, and again, they didn't, assign a dogmatic connection between the rising of the sun when Mass could be offered. It was something symbolic there. But Pope Pius XII, realizing the situation of the world today and the changing in society and the demands it made on people, allowed for evening Masses. So that's when it, from 4 o'clock on, became also acceptable time to offer an evening Mass. So basically between noon and 3 o'clock or noon and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, as the sun was retreating in the sky and beginning to set, that was considered to be not appropriate time in relation to the original symbolism of the rising of the sun. Nowadays, though, with the priest traveling and offering Mass when he can, where he can, as he can, like in missionary times, the Church always had, you might say, relaxed rules in missionary circumstances. And there were things that she would permit in missionary circumstances that would not ordinarily be permitted in an established diocese somewhere. And all of these exceptions, you might call them, to the rules were made for the benefit of souls. And that should not be surprising to you, because you know that the Code of Canon Law that came out was produced under St. Pius X and was promulgated after the end of World War I. That it concluded with Canon 2414, the statement, the salvation of souls is the supreme law of the Church. So all the other canons, all the other laws included in the Code of Canon Law of the Church, were all subject to the necessity of the salvation of souls, because that's the purpose for which Christ came, died on the cross, and established his church, to save souls. The Church never forgets that. And so, she has certain rules that would apply in a fully functioning and well-established diocese of centuries history. But in missionary countries, missionary territories, the Church would give a lot of latitude in terms of, how the pastoral care of the people. Never, obviously, there were certain things that were intrinsically evil she would always condemn. She would never permit certain things, obviously. But as long as these things were not contrary to the Church's teaching and moral practice and were consistent with the need for the salvation of souls, the Church would allow them. So as far as the times go, are they hard and fast times today? No, not if one realizes the Church is in a state of crisis, and where she exists largely is she's in a state of missionary activity right now throughout the whole world. Again, some people might say, well, I don't believe that. That couldn't happen. Well, I'm sorry, they say it couldn't happen. I would just say, look around. Just look at reality, not fantasy, not your wishful thinking, but look at what's actually happening.